amazing lived experience volunteers, and Heather will be sharing her reflections from a lived experience perspective in terms of conversations, supporting conversations in the workplace around work-related stress. So without further ado, Heather, over to you.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me to come along and talk today. I currently work in the education sector in Scotland, and the minute I say that, probably a lot of people will know there's a lot of issues there. So I've worked there for over 22 years now, and within that time I've seen an awful lot of change. Personally, I have I struggle with anxiety and depression. I have done since I was, I think, about 13 years old. So it's something that's truly embedded within me, and it's something I've learned to manage over many years. Taking on my employment at such a young age, and at the time, it was a very male-dominated industry. I was very young and I was female, and I was completely isolated within that role. I loved the role. When I was doing the actual job, it was amazing. But very quickly, I became very stressed. And I dealt with that probably in a healthy, going towards unhealthy way, where I would go to work, focus, get the job done, not really speak to anybody, go to the gym afterwards, just take it out on those machines. And I worked and I worked and I worked. And it was a coping mechanism. It worked to an extent. But by the age, well, after 10 years of that, basically, my back gave up on me and I was no longer able to do that. I had to have numerous surgeries. And I look back on it now and it wouldn't have happened. People would have noticed. Like if it was happening right now in today's situation, people would have noticed how unhealthy my life was. You know, I exercised to the point of breaking. I went to work, I didn't speak to people. There was no friendliness, there was no speaking at all within that environment. So after I had recovered from several back injuries, things had changed. Laws had changed. So Denver made a very good point. The minute laws change, employers actually start to take responsibility for what the law tells them to do. So things did become better. I had the phased return due to the physical problem that I had, but none of the mental problems were particularly looked at. So the depression, the anxiety still existed, but exacerbated by an incredible amount of pain as well. As things did change, just move over my pages, excuse me. I returned to having more female staff. We got a female manager and she started to really focus and fight this kind of behaviour where people were mean to each other all the time, and started having slightly healthier conversations. But we're still talking 10 years ago. So ended up I ended up having a child and returned back to work from then with no support again. So there was a slight kind of phased return, but after 2 weeks I was straight back into full-time work, a very highly pressured job. So it's always been a highly pressured job. It's fun that way, you know, it's part of that job that you're challenged an awful lot within it. But with that does take a lot out of a person. But obviously with the new role of being a mother, and I was unfortunately very quickly a single parent, in a house that was too small for me, with lots and lots of serious personal issues going on there, trying to balance that with a full-time job. I couldn't do it. There was still a lot of bullying. So some of the big events that I had created, I was basically laughed at. I'd done them. They were so successful. And then I was told that the room next door were making jokes about me and slagging me off. So very quickly, you know, I was going back to the toilets, having my panic attacks, and at one point I had to get somebody to get the first aider. I just couldn't breathe anymore, and the first aider came, and it was at that point we realised this can't go on like this. So I ended up taking some time off for my mental health. I went and spoke to my doctor. My doctor was like, "Oh my goodness, have you been coping with this for this long?" And she kind of pointed out what I'd been doing was so unhealthy and that there's help available, and she was there for me, and that I was just trying to do way more than one person could do. but there was no care in work. You know, they were just like, just make her do it. You know, it's all on her. You know, it's her choices of life, and you know, no consideration for what I was actually going through at the time. So went off work. Ended up being 2 years off work. I took 1 year off ill and 1 year off as a sabbatical in order to practice my art and recover from that mental health trauma that I went through. And within that time, my manager, she reached out to me numerous times. She made so much effort to make me feel needed and wanted within that employment. She wanted me to come back. She took interest in the art projects I was doing. She looked at the work. She thought, wow, you know, she just gave me encouragement to be doing what I'm doing, but also said she was really proud and wanted me back to what I was doing because I'm good at what I do. And she kept on reinforcing that to me, that I'm good at what I do and we need you there. You've got a different perspective. We need you back. And it was that really helped me get back. And I had to take some, you know, really accepting my limitations as well. I no longer could do the job of 3 people, you know, with a back injury, mental health issue, and a small child to look after. There's just no way I could do that anymore. So I started to do less hours, and it was just a little bit too much. So after a few months, I was starting to really struggle again, and we took a few more hours out of that and changed the way that we were working. But my manager asked me, you know, what do you need? You know, what do you need to make this easier at that point? So when she saw I was struggling, she came to me. She's like, well, what can we do to make this all right for you? And I told her, I was like, it's just a bit too much right now. I'm not managing financially. I'm not managing this way, that way, you know. And she'd done a lot of juggling. She helped me out, and it went really, really well. I've now been back in employment, like not full time. I will never work full time probably in that employment again. It's too stressful a situation. On that, we don't actually have any full-time members of staff anymore because nobody can actually manage that job full-time anymore. The amount of people, like Denver said, have been off ill through their mental health because of the stress of that job is phenomenal. And I won't put myself through that anymore. I just wouldn't do it. And I've learned that from my manager. I've learned that from my experience. But recently things have got bad again. So we've had redundancies hitting us left, right and centre. 2 of our most prominent, strong female characters have now been made redundant and are no longer in our department, and has left, instead of 3 managers, just 1 manager. There's more threats of redundancies. Every member of our department has taken cuts to our hours. And as a thanks for that, the managers then removed our tea breaks and put in more hours work instead. So when we returned after reducing our hours of up to 30%, some of us, we ended up still doing the exact same work, the exact same amount of work, because of them taking away those little tiny wee luxuries we had of being able to go to the toilet whilst being paid. So now we've got a situation where nobody is happy at work, everybody's hurting, everybody's in a lot of pain. Nobody works there full time anymore. So there's no ownership to our jobs. We feel completely disrespected within our roles. We were told at one point by our manager that we had become a laughing stock of the establishment because we took a reduction rather than letting 3 of our colleagues be made redundant. And we reported, as we all came back to these reduced hours, the amount of stress that we've been through as a collective. And we had said, we don't sleep properly. We all have our skin irritations on our hands. Some of us pick our fingers. Someone like myself who suffers seriously from mental health problems, I don't eat properly. You know, so I'll go through the full day without eating, without even realising it because I'm so stressed about work. And we reported this now over 4 or 5 weeks ago. And there was a meeting with our health and safety person in charge of kind of mental health within our establishment, and that got cancelled the other week. And that was meant to be starting to look at these individual health risk assessments. And I mean, I've had them done and I have them in place, but by taking away my tea breaks by putting extra workload onto me, reducing my wages, showing me sheer disrespect, that in itself has just completely overwritten that risk assessment that's written for me, therefore putting me in a really risky situation of getting very ill again. Now, thankfully, I have been through so much therapy, and having worked with this employer for so many years, I understand what stress will do, and I will not allow myself to feel that bad with it. So I've reported to work how I feel. They know, but the manager can't do the job of 20 people he's now getting asked to do. So I appreciate that his stress levels are now beyond what he can manage. But the manager above him has now been, the work has been added onto them is so huge that they won't be looking after them anymore. There's nobody looking after anybody because there's no staff left to care, because the way this management's structured, because risk assessments are not being appreciated, because staff are just getting, I don't know, used in a really derogatory way. But no matter how much reporting is done, nothing is done about it right now. And it's really, really hard. So for me, what I do is I go into my work now only 2 days a week. And the rest of that time I go to university and I'm studying a master's in teaching in the arts. And there's a lot of arts practice within this master's degree, so I'm hoping to be able to move. But I'd also like to be able to make changes within the education sector. I'd like to look at how we can help people with just getting into education, employment, enjoying life a little bit more through a lot of good ways. And through this course, I'm working on bringing the environment into things and, just really changing the way that the system works. But I could never see myself working full time for that employer. I see that because of the way that staff are treated. And I feel really sad that the risk assessments, the laws, all the things that are there, they're just completely disregarded because it's such a big organisation. They're almost allowed to go, well, you can click a link for counselling, so you can do that. You can go and speak to somebody. There is a group of staff that have volunteered their time to be mental health helpers or champions who are completely disassociated, completely they've given up on that as well because they get no support from it, but they're ticking a box. So legally they're all right because they've done that job and they've done that job, but underneath the people are absolutely falling apart. And yeah, life's hard right now. There's wars going on, there's all sorts, but if you don't look after the workforce that are actually doing the jobs, where's all this money going to come from to pay people to be off sick? So that's in my experience of 20 years under one very large organisation.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you very much, Norma.
No, that was really powerful and very enlightening in terms of actually, not just your experience as an individual trying to work through things, but also the impact that the institutional, I guess, conditions are putting on you, and the difference that is making, whether it's a positive or negative impact. So thank you for sharing so much and being so generous with the information. I wonder, we have a few minutes for questions for Heather. So if anyone wants to ask Heather a question or share any reflections, please let us know. Raise your hand.